What's up, guys? This is Burke, and welcome to Let's Talk About Life podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. It's tied to my research on behavior change. And it's pretty much, what is the process of transformation? And I'm going to start off by just talking about something called the transitional curve. It's this curve of which shows the process psychologically in terms of making changes in your life. And so I first want to explain it, and then we're going to talk about just the first two phases of this process, and we'll end off in that last phase, and we'll pick up from there on our next podcast. This is what it's about. Whenever you're about to make any type of change, you start off excited. Think of like January 1st, your New Year's resolutions are there and you're ready to go. This is called uninformed optimism. So this is the top of the curve. Uninformed optimism. You have no information, but you're optimistic. I want to lose weight. I want to quit smoking. I want to be more healthy. Whatever it is that you want to do, right? I want to build better relationships. I want to take care of myself more. You are uninformed and optimistic. Even when you buy like a new program, right? As time goes by, you move into this space called informed pessimism. So let's say that we'll take the case of exercise. You're exercising, you're working out, the gyms are packed, it's January 1, and then all of a sudden you're sore. And you feel like, I don't want to go to the gym today. And it's been 2 weeks and you haven't dropped a pound and you're not feeling like you're being successful. You move into that informed pessimism space. When you're in informed pessimism, you realize this is a lot harder than I thought it would be. And then you start to have this doubt, am I capable? Is it possible that I can do this? You're pessimistic because the work is harder than you anticipated, and you wonder if you're strong enough to handle it. Then you move into crisis of meaning. Crisis of meaning is the space where you're like, I don't know if I'm able to do this. I don't know if I'm worthy. This is where the self-sabotaging thoughts come in, and I know that you can understand this. When you're all of a sudden excited and then move into this space of, I don't know if this is going to happen. And this could be for, let's say, somebody who's exercising, they go on vacation, they come back, they ate like crap, and they just feel like, I can't do this, right? Or they're too sore one day and they have to take some time off. Whatever it is, they start to doubt themselves. And what happens is when they make that mistake, it's called a relapse. They fall off, and then they start the whole cycle all over again. What our job is to be able to push past that crisis of meaning. Because if you stay in the crisis of meaning, you will crash and burn. And that's what happens with most people. That's why everybody starts so well and then starts over again. They start so well. They hit that crisis of meaning. They doubt themselves. They totally berate themselves about, I'm not consistent. I knew I couldn't do this. My parents were right, whatever it is. And then they just relapse. And then once they're strong enough again, maybe next new year, they start again on that cycle. We want to push past crisis of meaning. If you can find a way to push past crisis of meaning, you move into informed optimism. It's realism. You understand that the process of change requires the ups and downs, and you don't consider them to be failures. When you become an informed optimist, you have a realistic perspective of how change works. And this is what my entire program is about. How do I get you to see that you are absolutely capable and that failure is a part of the journey? And not in a cliche way, in a real life way. That's what we're trying to do. So today what we're going to talk about is, when were we kind of in that space of uninformed optimism? And then when did we experience that informed pessimism and that crisis of meaning? And then the relapse. And then that'll be our cliffhanger. And then the next week we're going to talk about how we broke through. Because this is extremely important. If you don't know your process, if you don't know the process, then you'll always crash and burn. So let's open it up. And I'd love to kind of hear some stories of what people have in terms of when was your moment of uninformed optimism all the way down. And then we'll go through that and be able to share how we got there, what we took from it, negatively or positively, and then next week we'll move on the way up. Sound good?
Fantastic.
Let's do it. Open up. Whoever wants to knock it out first.
I'll probably go in first.
Kill it, baby.
After you.
My first experience with an uninformed optimism was when I was 19 years old and first started my fitness journey. And all my life, I was a skinny kid, very weak. I couldn't even lift 10-pound dumbbells. I literally couldn't even do the 45-pound bar at Bally Total Fitness back in the day.
Right.
That was the most, I felt embarrassed.
Right.
I never went to the gym after that. I quit. And I was, you know what? I can never work out. And that fear remained for my life. And I never did it. Until one day, I saw Tony Horton, P90X, work out at home. Check it out. And I'm like, P90X? I can work out at my house and no one knows about it? Let's do it.
Right.
So I bought the P90X program.
Excited.
I was excited. I was ecstatic. I was like, great. This guy says in 90 days I'm going to be a big buff guy. I'm going to be ripped. I'm going to have all the muscles and all the girls in the world. Hell yeah, let's do it. Bought the pull-up set. I bought everything, bro. The shitty-ass recovery drink that tastes like shit. I bought that too.
I love this business.
Oh, bro, it was bad. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I bought the program. It actually worked though.
Yeah.
Like the work, I was religiously doing it every single day, man.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I want to work. I want to get strong. I want to get strong. I want to get strong. Within the next 90 days, I didn't see maybe a little bit of like shreddedness. I didn't see any growth of muscle. And I was like, damn, I can't do that many pull-ups like Tony. He does 20 pull-ups. I can only do like 3 in a chair. What the hell? He told me I'm going to be doing the buff guy in 90 days. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it. Okay, maybe I have to do P90X all over again. So I did it again for the next 90 days.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of improvement, but still nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like going to myself. I'm like, wait a second. Am I doing something wrong? Am I not eating enough? So trial and error. I'm like, okay, maybe I should eat more food. Bulk up. All right, the milk. What's called a milk diet or something like that, where you chug milk. I forgot what it's called. It was some
what country?
weird stuff, dude. There was like this protein shake called Carnivore, which is like meat protein. I guess it's mass gainer. I don't know, man. It is like crazy stuff. And still, after the 90 days, I didn't see much results. I did P90X for 2 years, man.
Wow.
From no experience whatsoever. Being afraid of going to the gym because I was so weak. That was my uninformed optimism, was I want to be this guy that's super ripped.
Right. So you were thinking like in 90 days,
yes,
I'm going to look this way.
Yeah.
And 90 days happens and I don't look like him. Maybe another 90 days. Okay. And I don't look or feel, I'm not happy with this is not happening. Did you start to think that it was your fault? That you were doing it wrong?
I saw something wrong with my body. I thought I was just because I was a skinny kid, young, hard gainer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to gain any muscle mass, and I felt weak. And then it just was demoralizing, man.
Right.
Because I had this idea that if I follow this guy, I will look like him. If I'm crazy like him and push past my limits, I'll look like him. Didn't happen.
So all that the dangerous thing about being in that space, when you have the uninformed optimism, it's the fall.
Yeah.
Because when you have uninformed, there's no bridle on it. There's no reality tied to it. Even if the people sell whatever they sell, we set this high standard of what success is, and anything less than that becomes failure. So if I say that for me, I only consider 100% success, then anything up to 99.9% is failure because we are so focused on that result. And if we are uninformed in choosing what the result is, then we screw ourselves over. You look at all these like infomercials and they say, I lost this, buy these 90s payments of this. And then it shows the before and after. And if you look in the small, it says results are not typical. Right? And so right there, that's informed, right? That's informed. But it's so small compared to the uninformed of what it's selling you. So you're feeling like crap as you become an informed pessimist.
Exactly.
What happens there? Was there a point where you hit that crisis of meaning?
Yeah, because after 2 years of doing it, I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm bored as hell with this same ass bullcrap cliche sayings. He's like, if your body wasn't built in a day. Neither was
my courses.
No, it was like Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither is your body. So I'm like, okay, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I have to work out your stupid ass program for 5 years. What the hell am I supposed to do? So I was in that crisis of meaning. I didn't know what to do, man.
Right.
I was like stuck. Then I started researching. That's when I started doing my own research online, trying to find answers.
Right. Was there a period, and when you hit crisis of meaning where you stopped? Was there a period, like what kind of, when you were in that depressed state, and I don't know how depressed, it may have just been sadness, but was there anything that it did that caused you to relapse or to give up or to stop or to change or to doubt? What were the experiences that you had in that crisis of meaning?
I would say it wasn't like a depressive state. It was just more of, I want more answers. I want to change. This is not working for me. What's the next step?
Right.
What can I do to get the results I want? I need to learn more about fitness.
Right.
I need to educate myself. And that's the whole, luckily for me, it worked out that way.
Is that when you bought the program?
Which one?
After what you just said?
When I educated myself? No, I actually learned how to do it online with some other guy. His name's Scooby. I don't know if you guys know who Scooby is.
Yeah.
He's like this 69-year-old geezer. He's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna teach you how to work out at home. You don't need a bench press. Use the ground. And I was using the ground doing bench press. I was bench pressing on the ground, and I was like, I still was learning. I was working out at home still. I was too scared to go to the gym.
Interesting.
I was scared.
Did you think?
Fear that
Go ahead.
my parents that a long time ago. Go out that vision of pushing that 45-pound bar, and I couldn't do one single rep. I was like, dude, I can't do this.
Let's actually, okay, so this is powerful. Now, here's my question. I'm going to ask a question that might pop somewhere else because I might be seeing something else in there. You were at the place where you felt that you were at the crisis of meaning, like, I'm not getting results, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Then you work with Scooby. Did Scooby help?
He helped me learn about the power of form.
Okay,
So I learned about positioning your form, your posture, eating good. So I learned a lot of good things from him. But I still didn't see results.
Was there a period where you kind of gave up or stopped? When you were there, you just kind of kept pushing through to get it?
I kept just pushing.
So you never stopped working out?
I didn't stop working out. I couldn't because it became a lifestyle.
Right.
It's just something I couldn't live without because I felt good after doing it. The feeling was good.
Yes.
But the results wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
Did you thought, and the thing you thought was that there's something wrong with my body?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you started getting all the supplements and doing all these different things. When did it get to the point where you were like, okay, the breakthrough, where you're like kind of moving into the informed? Was that right after? How long did it take entirely to get from that optimism to pessimism to the breakthrough? So kind of guide me up until right before the breakthrough. What was the last thing before you finally realized I got this?
Funny story. When I started working at the bank, there's this one tiny little Asian guy. His name was Peter. He's like, hey man, you go to the gym? I'm like, no. He's like, come work out with me. So I went the first time to 24 Hour Fitness with this guy. And there was a pull-up bar there. He's like, we're going to do back today. He said, how many pull-ups can you do? And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm working out at home. I can do a bunch of pull-ups. Bro, I only do like 2 pull-ups, man.
Right.
He looked at me, he's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you so weak? And then when he said it to me, I was like, what the hell? I've been working out in my house this whole time, and I'm weak. I can't even do pull-ups. And that trigger happened to me all over again. And that caused an effect. I was like, that's it. I have to work out in this gym from now on.
Done.
Wow.
The experience was I went to the gym because I wanted to get bigger. And I tried to lift a 45-pound bar, and I couldn't do it. Your uninformed optimism was probably about 30 minutes long. Right? So for 30 minutes, you're like, I got this. Because you went to the gym, obviously, to grow.
Yeah.
So you're obviously going to grow, and you're excited about it. And then you pick up this, or try to pick up this thing, and you cannot do it. That is called informed, right? And here's your crisis of meaning. I'm never going to the gym again. You know what I mean? That's where it's at. So you stop going to the gym, period. Game over. Game over. I will hide in P90X. Horton's not going to judge me because he can't see me, right? It's like, so you're already, so the story more so is the fact that you went to the gym and you did not lift the weight. And that was crisis of meaning. I'm embarrassed. I'm not capable. I'm not worthy of being seen lifting here. So I need to build in secret before anybody sees me in my weakness.
Damn. That's it. Exactly spot on, dude.
Right? And here's the crazy thing about it. You disappeared. Right?
I disappeared.
You disappeared for 4 years or whatever.
It was like,
right?
4 years.
Forget that. But it's so interesting because that one experience, that bar, was heavy enough to hold you down for 4 years.
Damn.
Jeez.
That is powerful.
Right?
Oh, man. Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's all of us. These triggers that are extremely light are only determined to be heavy or light in our mind. Who cares what it looks like? You flying a plane is a big deal. For somebody else, it's not. It was heavy for you. Just as that's heavy for you, something in our lives is heavy, right? But the thing is, we want to wait 4 years for breakthrough. And I already know where the story goes. You all of a sudden got to the place where you stepped in the gym again. And then you lifted, you did the pull-up, and you couldn't do it. Everything tied. From that moment to the 45-pound, your whole world. I'm weak.
Jesus Christ.
Bro, this is like free gold.
Right.
This is like free keys to the kingdom.
So you're putting yourself in that space, right? And so that story is epic. And we already kind of have an idea of what's about to happen. I look forward to the next podcast because we're going to we'll dissect what happened, right? You went from that place of uninformed optimism immediately into pessimism and then hid and then resurfaced and then triggered again. To be honest, that's the cycle because all we have to do is get hopeful and then get triggered of an old failure. Hopeful, triggered of an old failure. Boom. There it is. Very simple. It's an orchestration, bro.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
I am mind effed right now, bro. Jeez.
Right. Whew. So that's the story.
Wow.
And it's epic because there is an upswing. For most people, there isn't an upswing.
Yeah.
Right? For most people, it's whoop, over and over again. It's literally it's a loop that's played through their entire lives. Right?
Damn.
And I can't believe people don't come out of that.
you don't come out of it.
Bro.
I don't come out of it.
Bro.
There are things in our lives right now that we are just like, we're just going through, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all based on perspective. That's what's so crazy. I work out with my clients. Back in the day, I had a client who had to lose 100 pounds. And she was crying because she lost 2 pounds. Because once she lost 2 pounds, she realized how hard it's going to be to lose the 98. And I told her, I said, what you're doing right now is facing a fear. I have a fear that is not a weight. It's not losing 98 pounds, but there's something in me that is just as terrifying. Can you prove to me that we're both going to be able to do it? Then she just went, we all have those fears, right? It's a crazy thing. So that's an awesome story, man.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we were able to pick that out because this story is a microcosm of everything in your life. And we'll take some time, maybe next time, to really just kind of talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I almost want to talk about it now because this is the microcosm. Let's do it. Let's talk about it right now.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about it right now. Boom. We have these two things that you experienced. Where in your life do you think that shows up? The weight is too heavy, and so you never go in the gym again.
We were testing, and there's a 3-hour test. Our Muay Thai test is about 3 hours, so I'm fighting the guy, and this guy is like a professional fighter, and he's like, we're not sparring, we're just like practicing. So he thinks I'm aggressive. I guess I look aggressive. I don't know why. I was just sparring him. I throw a jab, he dodges it, and he throws a cross and hits me right in the face. And I'm like, bro, chill. Like, we're practicing. And he's like smiling at me. He's like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this guy's messing around with me. Then I was like, all right, let's fucking go. Then we're fighting, and he throws his kicks, and his kicks were so freaking hard, bro.
Right.
Muay Thai kicks, so roundhouse kicks, he's got big legs. He whips me like, boom. I'm like, oh, shit. I had a huge-ass bruise. I got so pissed. I literally just, like, measured my hand. I threw a cross and hit him right in the nose. And after that, that kind of moment just, I don't know, I just stopped going after that.
Really?
The experience, yeah. Because I just didn't like the vibe.
Yeah.
After that. After 4 years of training. I just completely let it go.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Why
Do you think that, what do you think the reason is that you stopped? It may not be specific.
Weakness.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, because everything you've seen is truly what I see is weakness. I feel like I'm weak.
Did you feel that he exploited?
I felt like he was better than me.
He exploited your weakness.
Yeah.
Right? When that weakness is exploited, where do you go?
I just went back.
You go to P90X.
Well, I think
metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking.
Let me explain it.
Yeah.
The goal, you missed it, right? You stopped doing soccer. The gym, you stopped doing the gym. Punch, you stopped. Now I'm simplifying. I know there's so many more mechanisms that are happening, but there's enough to get a story, and there's enough to see there's a pattern that limits you from growing. So what happens when you sandwich these stories together, you say, I don't want to live like this. And that's all we're trying to get to. I don't want to live like this. Because when you realize I don't want to live like this, then it's your empowerment to make the change. Same like when you did the pull-ups and the guy's like, that's all you can do? You're like, I will not have that. Then you did it. So sometimes what you have to do is build up a case for how your fear stops you, freezes you for years, or stops you after years of doing a thing. So by creating a little story, you get a microcosm of how we work. Because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And so we see these stories, and they are informative on how we live our lives. And then when we see it and we don't like it, then we can then decide to change. We have enough fuel of frustration about how this affects us that we actually make that change.
Wow, that's so true, man. That's so true.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
And I love that this story has a happy ending because we know that you're Mr. Calisthenic. This guy's like ripped under that shirt. Yeah, he doesn't shop at Baby Gap, people. That's an extra large, okay?
So
exactly.
God,
dude, yeah. He's got a hole in the wall from the button pop. Yeah, so that's a dope story, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing it. This is gonna give people ideas of like they're gonna start to be like, where did I hit that crisis meeting? Because everybody's done it. It's all of us. Man. You know what I mean? And it teaches us. Jake, yeah, tell us your story. Uninformed to informed pessimism.
I feel like I'm going through it right now with the gym.
Uh-huh.
So Uninformed optimism. I went to the gym for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Right.
And then I think around the second week, that's when it happened, when I hit the informed pessimist.
Yeah.
When I figured it out, I was like, I gotta do this 4 times a week, 3 times a week. And then I'm actually in crisis of meaning right now.
Right.
So stay tuned for the next podcast.
Well, let's do this. Let's break it down. So what did uninformed optimism feel like? You were you're starting the program, you're about to exercise, right? And you're like, dude, I'm excited, I'm going to do this. What were the feelings and thoughts that were going through your head?
Probably just like super excited. Just super excited.
Right.
And all I'm imagining is the end goal of what I'm going to be, but I never thought about all the work that literally has to happen for me to go there.
Right. And the only way that you realize all the work is day 1 of the work type of thing, you know what I mean? Or actually maybe day 5, because you're excited and the fuel of the optimism keeps you going for maybe 5 days, for 2 weeks or whatever. Then all of a sudden your optimistic fuel runs out, and then you're like, my fuel's gone, but I still have to go. I still have to work out. When I did my research on this, it's very similar. We had people fill out surveys before. So what we did was we had people exercise, and certain group went to the intervention program that I created, right? And they had to do surveys of how they felt before they went to the gym and how they felt afterwards. In the beginning, it was excited, I can't wait, a little nervous, but excited. Week 3, a little tired, but happy to be there. Week 5, I don't want to go in. You know what I mean? The process of that curve literally was showing up in these people's lives, right? And so that's a real experience that people have. So you are excited, and then the fuel starts to go out. And what happened? What was it that was causing the fuel to go out?
Fear.
Okay. And that kind of ties back to what you were talking about with that. So the statements that were popping in your mind, what were the thoughts? You were like, I have to do this forever? Like, right, that's a total fear that stops people. Because I'm consistent now, and their mind immediately thinks, but I won't be consistent then. And then they kill themselves now. I say, you plant a bullet in tomorrow, reaping your death today, right? So you're thinking about, I have to do this 4 days a week?
Yep.
Right? And what was the pessimism? When did you become pessimistic about it?
Probably when I skipped 2 or 3 days in a row.
Right.
Then I was just like, those 3 days were like my whole life.
Right.
Wow, that's deep.
That's real talk.
Yeah.
Your life, how so?
Because I was, just like Briquet said, I was just thinking about, okay, well, the 4th day I'm going to skip, the 5th day I'm going to skip, and I kept thinking, I'm just going to start Monday.
Holy crap.
Yeah, bro.
That's real. What did it feel like when you were pushing it back? Every time that you kind of pushed the button? Like,
I felt like I was going deeper and deeper and deeper, and
into what?
into fear.
And not only fear, I'm gonna question this. When you push back and do the wrong thing when you know you're supposed to do something else, it's fear. The fear of going becomes greater. So you're right. There's a increase of fear because you're pushing it off, and it becomes bigger and bigger, this insurmountable thing. But at the same time, there's also an increase of something else. When you hear yourself say, I'll do it, and don't do it, you lose something in yourself. What is that?
Respect.
Did you feel that?
I did. I lost respect for myself because I didn't hold my word. And that's everything.
Right. And what did that feel like, and what did it make you think about yourself?
It felt horrible, and it made me feel like I'm weak.
Damn.
That's
That
real.
is freaking real, dude.
Right? It's real. When you feel weak, incapable, not enough, that pushes it even further. Because it's like, I'm not even going to touch it now because I'm weak. So before I'm like, I got this. I made a mistake, my bad. But I'm afraid of going back. I didn't do it. And then all of a sudden you're at a space where you're looking at this thing and you're like, oh my God. Your fear and loss of respect increase the size. You push it off, the fear of it increases. And your respect of self decreases. It gets bigger. You push it off, fear increases, respect of self decreases. It becomes harder and harder and harder and harder to overcome it. The good news is it's all a story. Okay? It's not reality. It's your mind, and you haven't learned how to own your mind. That's why we go through this program where you're combating your thoughts, and you're starting to understand these are not real thoughts. Because if you just do a little bit of the work, the tools that we give you, all of a sudden it becomes more possible. It's not like you have to climb back up the mountain. You just have to realize the mountain is your thoughts, right? So that's what happens. Then it kind of stops you. You hit this crisis of meaning. What do you feel? I'm incapable. You start to doubt yourself. What were the words you gave yourself?
I can't do it. It's too much. This is scary.
Real. I appreciate the realness too, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is all of us.
Yeah.
This is all of us. It is scary. In fact, it's terrifying. It's terrible. That's my new word.
Terrible.
It's terrible.
Jeez, terrible.
It's just terrible. God. So you are experiencing that, and then all of a sudden you and your other yous, which are your thoughts, are saying, see, why'd you even try? You shouldn't have jumped. Why'd you jump? I told you. You're not capable. I'm here to protect you. All these conversations. That's why the tools and the work that we have in that crisis of meaning is so important. But the difference is, when you're in this space, when people make a mistake, they lapse. And this is what I was doing in my research. I was proving to them it's not about relapse. You don't make a mistake and it's a relapse. It's a lapse. You made an honest mistake. That gives you the strength to get back up. But if you think of a lapse as a relapse, then you're already back at this story again. Right? And that's how people get stuck.
For years.
Absolutely.
4 years.
4 years.
5 years.
4 years.
Not knowing life. Jesus Christ.
And you're like, what could I have created? Now that's not enough but here's the trick. When you're like, what could I have created? I hate myself for it. Then you get back in the loop. It's just, what could I have created? A lot. Okay, I need to make sure I start now. They say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Let go of, I should have done it 19, 18 years. You don't need that. 20 years ago was the best time. You didn't do it. Second best is right now. Get you in the right mindset.
Jeez.
Right? It's not a relapse. It's just a lapse. And even the tools that we have tools already ready. You know what to do. You know what sheet to fill out to be able to realize it's just a story. This is just a story in my mind. And when I believe that it's just a story, the fear decreases, the respect increases, because we all make mistakes. And we'll talk about that next time too. There's some tools that are powerful to be able to get you to move beyond. So, bro, super dope. Thanks for sharing that, man.
That's dope.
That's fire. That's super fire. Awesome. Okay, so I think I'll share kind of one of my stories. And it goes back to, what I care about the most in terms of my own creative. I love to dance. I love all this different stuff. But for me, music, right? Music is, pow. I love it. Yeah, because I'm just enough sexy. I'm just enough cool. I'm just enough nerdy. I'm just like, everything just boom, comes together so perfectly when I'm making music. I love it. And my life purpose and goal really is to be able to create the experience I had in music in every moment of my life, right? Now, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't lose music. So in 2008, I was singing, I was performing, I was in a hip hop group, and I also was playing my own guitar music, and I played keys and all this different stuff, and I loved it. But I actually got a callus on my vocal cords. So what happened was, one day in January, I'm like, got a sore throat, crazy, insane. Anyways, I'll just gargle some salt, whatever. Goes on for a month. Goes on for 2 months, right? And I'm just like, okay, what's going on? And I remember at that time, it was crazy. One of my friends, Aaron, he said that because he believed in the music that I was making, he's like, hey, I'll take over your clients, because I was personal training at the time. He's like, I'll take over your clients and you can pursue music. I was like, what in the world? This guy's crazy. I got to reach out to him. Anyways, it was super cool, man. Good energy, good heart. And I'm like, yeah, after my voice heals. Little did I know, right? So I go to the doctor. I had no idea what a vocal nodule was. I had no idea what that was. So I go to the doctor. And I'm like, so they put this, video stroboscopy, and they just put it up your nose, down your throat. Yeah, it's no joke. And he's like, oh, we got a nodule here. And I'm like, a what? A nodule? What does that mean? He's like, it's like a callus that kind of pops out on your vocal cord. Right? And I'm like, what does that mean? Right? So what happens is my voice was going out, and I couldn't even talk. I couldn't talk right. I couldn't sing. That was the main thing. So I think it's a big deal. I'm not sure. Then my roommate's like, oh, wow, many singers get that. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I got to heal it. So at that point, I was like, I'm going to fix this. And I was optimistic, faithful. Like, I got this. I'm going to learn everything I can. I'm going to go to doctors, And for months, I'm learning how to cure it. You know what I mean? Homeopathically, naturally, and as well. I'm like, okay, let me search on the vocal surgeons and everything. I'm doing all this research, trying to figure out. And I'm like, I got this. And then months turn into a year. And there was a period where I had to, like, literally, I was training multiple people and I couldn't yell, right? So I actually had to take a month off of talking. So I literally stopped talking.
Jesus Christ.
And this is the craziest thing. You get to a place where you feel like nothing. Nothing. When I stopped talking, it was amazing because it was a spiritual thing as well. When I stopped talking, I realized a couple of things. One is that I realized that my voice doesn't matter. When I say my voice, me, I don't matter. Because I saw myself sink. This is what it felt like. I felt like, like the crowds at Disneyland on a holiday or something like that. I felt like I just stopped walking and started to sink down to the point where I was under the ground seeing all the feet, everybody stepping, all the feet shuffling beyond. And what I realized was that the world was moving perfectly fine.
That's crazy.
And so I realized that I don't matter. All the things that I think I can do to change the world and make the world a better place and all that different stuff, it doesn't. It's like, the world's going to be okay. Huge realization. Very difficult to swallow, but a huge realization because I knew that there's always a reason for everything, right? So I wrote this poem that was talking about, it's called Writhe. Like, I felt like the thumb of the Lord was placed over my vocal cords and I couldn't speak. Like, I couldn't. I was training clients with the card. Like, I'd write the exercises and I would even communicate. And I just stopped hanging out with people because I'm like, this is not going to work. You know what I mean? So it put me in this place where I was, like, depressed. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. Without music, we talked about it last time, identities. If you only have one identity, if you lose the identity, you're dead. If you have multiple, you survive. For me, it was music. I lost the identity. Dead. I was gone. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I missed it. You know what I say? Like, what I used to say is like, God, I'm like, the spirits are in heaven, right? And then God's like, who wants to be Burke Brown? And then all the spirits are quiet, and then just one spirit like raises his hand. You know what I mean? And everybody looks, and then God goes, and he's like, hey, I'm giving you a pearl. Like this massive, like you're gonna speak to the world and blah, blah, blah. There's gonna be times that you don't know who I am and blah, blah, blah. And the spirit's like, okay, whatever, let's do it. And I felt like when I lost my voice, the spirit was like, whoop, 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 whoop. You know what I mean? Just dropped it. Because who am I, right? Terrifying space. Terrible. So that happens, and then I'm at this place where I'm like, I feel like I'm gone. And I almost kind of turn my brain off. So you go from hopeful, right? Uninformed and optimistic, to informed and pessimistic, to this crisis of meaning. Who am I? What is my meaning then? And it kind of just goes dark, right? How do you get yourself out of that? I remember I went to music school because people were like, well, since you can't sing, why don't you, make music, play guitar, write songs for other people, produce. My mind was like, it's like telling an astronaut to make flight simulators. Like, don't, get off me. Like, pass me with that. I don't even want it. I don't even want to touch it. I don't even look at it because it reminds me too much of what I love. If I stayed there, I wouldn't be here. Right? If I stayed there, my life would just be an echo just to keep everybody happy. Like, I'll be here, but I'm not here. That crisis of meaning puts you in a space where you want to relapse. You want to just go away. It's intense. It's powerful. It's scary. Yeah. Right? But what's so important about it is that experience, this to that almost crash and burn. I almost feel like I did crash and burn. That experience was a requirement for me to be where I'm at right now. It was the prerequisite. Behind every fear is greatness. This was a fear realized, right? It's intense. It's a powerful story. But it doesn't end there, right? It doesn't end there for either of us, all of us. It doesn't end there for whoever's going through whatever they're going through. It doesn't end. there's more to the story where you can actually climb using that inertia. Because on a roller coaster, you got to go down to have enough strength for the up. Using that inertia to build yourself, to rebuild yourself, and to create yourself with multiple identities and create new realities that are totally possible. But you got to be willing to survive. You got to be willing to push through. You got to be willing to realize that this is a part of the story, not the story. So we've all been there. And we all have these endings that may not be the happy ending you imagined, but is the content ending, the real, where you take a realistic approach to changing your life and take a realistic approach to seeing the world in a healthy way, where everything isn't based on circumstances and situations, right? This is available to us. And so that's my excitement. That's why I'm excited for the second part of this podcast, where we talk about how did we rebuild ourselves? How did we come out of it? Right? And we have your story, and even your story may be happening currently, which is even better.
Yeah.
Because they get to see it happening. Just as your story of fear, last time in the podcast we talked about, I'm terrified of flying. This time we're talking about, I did it and I feel amazing. This is the magic people need to hear, because once they touch that, they believe it. And that's it. That's all my research is. Everything I talk about is all about just believing, self-efficacy. That's what we call it. Like in my research, it's the belief in your capability to do it. Because once your belief's there, thousands of obstacles drop. Just like we said, once your belief is there, the fear diminishes, the respect increases, and you just walk over that mess. Right? So I'm really excited for next week's podcast. Super
Damn,
dope.
that was dope.
Right?
Woo!
Rocking.
That was rocking, bro.
That's fire, yo.
That was fire, man.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, guys, thanks for listening. That was.
Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to break through the crisis of meaning.